What's up, guys? Listen, I just recently took a trip to the US. I was so fortunate to be able to go to the US, be able to collab with my man, Austen Alexander. And we had a great time. We did a run with a backpack on. It's like a military type thing. And we did that, made a video, incredible video, by the way. And a day after, I was able to sit down with Austen and do an interview with him, which I really appreciate it. Thank you so much for that, Austen. Now, here's the full interview. I've tried to, I haven't edited that much. Just we had some issues with the video stopping. So there's gonna be a point there where it's like the video is frozen. Anyways, amazing conversation. Amazing conversation. Best conversation on the internet, all right? Hope you guys enjoy this, all right? I'm not sure if I'm gonna make a Notorious podcast or anything. I'm not sure yet, but I'm putting this out there because I really, I find Austen to be an interesting guy, really hospitable, amazing guy. So with that, here's the full interview with Austen Alexander. Boom.
Yeah, no, I just wanted to roll into it.
Let's do it.
Make like a big intro. But
Whatever you want to do.
What do you think about the run we did yesterday?
It was tough for me. I'm not usually a distance runner. I've done one marathon before. Before that, I did 11 miles. This was sat right in the middle of that 11 miles and 26 miles at 18.6 miles. Mm-hmm. So just moving that amount of time, it's somewhat unfamiliar for my body. And when you put a 30-pound ruck on, it gets a little tough.
Yeah.
Overall, it's just one of those things. Like, it sucks. 4.5 hours, just going through any evolution for 4.5 hours tends to get a little taxing. But we pushed through. Yeah, we did it.
Yeah.
We hit the time hack.
Absolutely. I think some of these things, like these longer events, becomes more of a mind thing than just a physical thing, of course.
Yeah.
You need a capacity to go on, but when it comes to especially these 4-hour marks, then it's just like, hey, can you just repeat this action for a certain amount of time?
Yeah.
And then eventually you'll get to the end. And, I think it was a good one. I think it was too.
Sure.
Yeah.
I mean, we were able to keep our pace pretty steady throughout the whole thing. I mean, I was looking at our paces, and some were like 13.5, and some were like around 15.5. That's a good pace to be on.
Yeah. The biggest confusing thing for me was, doing the mile thing instead of the kilometer per hour
Yeah.
thing. So yeah.
The conversion on the go.
Yeah. I had to do the math in my head, but hey, I guess it, took away from the pain a bit. So
Yeah, exactly.
It worked out for me.
Did you even hurt at all?
I felt it after like 20 kilometers. My legs started being a bit sore.
Yeah.
By the joints, but not really that much more. And the feet, of course, with the blisters. Because usually I prep my feet for any like marathon or event like this, but didn't do this time. So.
Yeah, this was all unprepped.
Yeah.
I mean, you didn't prepare for it. I didn't prepare for it. You flew down. I called you on Tuesday. I said, hey, do you want to do this? And you're like, yeah. And you flew in on Thursday.
That's clutch.
Yeah.
That's really clutch.
Yeah.
Well, I'm like that. It's like, you just go, right? It's like, what else is there to it to think about? Honestly, like, it's just.
I like to just do it and then for the YouTube video production, Ivan's asking me like, how do you feel? I'm not used to talking about how I feel at all. Like,
you're a videographer.
I have thoughts in my head all the time, but like for the YouTube video, Ivan's like, it's crucial for you to tell how you feel to the audience, and I get that. I mean, I've been doing YouTube for 6 years. So when I'm in the moment and it's hurting and he's like, tell us how much it's hurting, and I'm focusing on how much it's hurting, it sucks and it gets on my nerves and I become a little ornery and but everything's good.
Are you able to, when you don't have that, like, I'm guessing you're not filming the event upcoming, the Hypercon?
No,
the
High Rocks.
High Rocks,
No.
yeah. You're not filming that. So will you think it would be easier for you to zone in when it comes to that event?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. I mean, I like to look at people and make jokes and just use humor in the face of pain and adversity. So I'll be looking at the sidelines, just pointing at people, winking at people, blowing people kisses, like my friends on the sidelines. Like, I'll be doing that even though it sucks and it's painful. I'll be having a good time.
Is that how you deal with it?
Yeah.
Usually?
Yeah.
Okay. I have this thing. I call it the smooth operator way and the savage approach, essentially. And it's just, you can treat everything like it's just another day of the job. Or you can be like, hey, this is life or death. I feel like that kind of goes into the smooth operator thing. It's like, hey, yeah, I'm just here. I'm just enjoying myself, just chilling. Right? This is just another day of the job. been doing this a long time, training. I think that's kind of the approach we take with that. I think it's two, and it's not like these two approaches are there's anything wrong about it. It's just like I've noticed that the approach you go in with like that, it makes the whole difference, and it's like really, really individual which one works.
You mean you look at the ruck and you say, is this life or death? Well, obviously it's life. We're not going to die. So you're like smooth sailing.
Yeah, that's the approach I take for like a ruck. But for like for the fights I did, then it was like life or death because I wanted to act that killer because I want to hurt the guy.
Yeah,
in a way, not in a sadistic way, of course, but
Yeah, I mean you're fighting.
Yeah, it's fighting.
It's an instinctual thing.
You never fought, right?
No, not other than like wrestling around on mats and stuff like that. No, I never fought.
Yeah, you wanna?
Maybe something to get into.
You ready?
Yeah, maybe. Yeah, let's go. Let's do it. Yeah, I mean, I imagine like when I was on deployment, everybody was asking me like, "Oh, yo, you should fight this guy. You should fight this guy." And he was like a little 5'8" dude. He was like 170 pounds, but he was like really good at MMA. And I'm still, 230 pounds. I'm a pretty strong guy. Like I normally just lift weights. I normally don't run. On deployment, I was lifting heavy ass weights every day, no cardio. So I was really strong. So I just kind of muscled my way around, no technique at all. I was just muscling my way around on the mats and just dragging him around.
Yeah.
Like I realized technique is important, but if he had a little more strength, maybe he could have. But like when I remember fighting my brother and my adrenaline being so high because we were really trying to hurt each other. Mm-hmm. And I was trying to defend, and then hurt him at the same time. And I can remember there's a phase I go in where I just lock in and I'm just focused on what I needed to do. And during that, when we were on the mats and everybody, the adrenaline's pumping, I'm just in the moment.
Yeah.
And I think I got him in a chokehold or something like that. And just, won.
Is that, if you could do a martial art, which would you pursue? Like, because you're a tall guy, you're 6'4",
yeah,
240 pounds. So, like, which one would you choose for all the ones you know?
I like variety. I like switching things up. I think MMA would be the best, because it's really dynamic. Like boxing, you have to be really, really tight with your hands and your defense. Mm-hmm. But with MMA, you got groundwork, you got kicking, leg work, everything. Yeah. And I love being able to use my whole body during like wrestling or whatever I've been exposed to. And I love being able to use my whole body. So probably MMA.
Yeah. I tell people that usually it's like good to specialize in one and then learn the others as you go. I think you'd suit wrestling quite well though, because it's fun, right?
Yeah.
It's
no striking, no impact.
Yeah. I love to wrestle as well.
Yeah.
It fits my frame as well. Mm-hmm. I kind of like that. But yeah, do you think that if you had started martial arts now, do you think that would make you a better person than you already are? Because you're already a great guy, right? Do you think that?
I think I'm a great guy.
Right.
I'm nice to people. I treat people fairly.
And you're disciplined. Do you think that if you started that, you would do even better?
Very possibly. I mean, if it's the training aspect that you're talking about, like I train now. Like I'll go for a run. I'm disciplined enough to go to the gym, lift weights, and potentially train for an event. Like up to leading before this ruck, I was training hardcore for high rocks. I was doing high rock sims and weightlifting and all types of hybrid and running and compromise running and everything. But maybe it would help me respect my opponent more, because when you're in the gym, you're versing yourself. Yep. When you're fighting, you're versing an actual person. Mm-hmm. So potentially, I've never been on any type of fighting schedule. Yeah,
I think maybe it's better for those who actually have like no clue about the discipline and all it takes, right? Mm-hmm. So maybe not for your case, but I always advise people to just do some martial art in the beginning, just to like kickstart that journey. But you've been on the journey for like such a long time now. Mm-hmm. When did that come from, like a sudden spark for you to like, hey, I'm going to start training. Hey, I'm going to start doing this, that? Because you're doing all this project now. You're an entrepreneur. You're partnered and you own multiple businesses. Mm-hmm. So usually that comes from a place of, hey, I need to do something. Mm-hmm. Where did that start for you? How old were you, for example?
I was 25 years old. I remember the moment just like yesterday. I was in a lot of debt. I was with a woman who was a very hard charger, and she was motivated. And I just looked at myself and I said, man, I'm not where I want to be at all financially, physically. And I'm out here in California and I'm seeing these people with all these houses and all these cars. And I'm like, why don't I have that? And why can't I have that? And it boiled down to there's no reason why I can't have that. So when I was 25 years old, I remember it was like August of 2018, 2017, whatever. I started teaching myself skills. And when I actually taught myself something, usually all my learning has been facilitated. High school, college, Navy, they facilitate their learning and you learn it because you have to. After work, I was teaching myself things that I wanted. And I learned all about stock options trading, Amazon FBA, everything digital, email marketing, digital marketing, social media marketing, everything.
Yeah.
And that's when it all started when I was 25.
Okay. So did it all come from books or did you?
No, it came from YouTube videos to start. I watched this guy named Tanner Fox. He was like 17 years old, but he was doing like $50K a month on Amazon.
Jeez.
I'm like, why is this 18-year-old, 17-year-old making $50K and I'm over here making $6K? And then I started going down the Amazon FBA rabbit hole. Saw multiple people that were doing Amazon FBA and the e-commerce, and I started listening to Russell Brunson podcast. It's called Funnel Hackers. Have you heard of Russell Brunson?
Yeah.
Yeah. Still to this day, I mean, some of the biggest entrepreneurs use ClickFunnels for their offer or whatever. So I started listening to a lot of that, and I can remember hearing this term called landing page, and they kept saying landing page, and I'm like, what is a landing page? So I'll just go research it. What is a landing page? Taught myself about landing pages, and then they would talk about conversion rates. I'm like, what is a conversion rate? So I looked it up, digital media conversion rate, and just learning these terms.
Yep.
And that's where it started. It started with YouTube videos and then podcasts. And then I got into books. I read Rich Dad, Poor Dad, like everybody does. Money Master the Game, Tony Robbins. Atomic Habits, I've read that probably 3 or 4 times. I use it every single day in my routine. And then a bunch of autobiographies. I just started just wanting to consume information from different people.
Yep.
Yep.
Books are powerful.
They are.
Like ideas. It doesn't cost that much either, but you get all these ideas. And you can choose to act on whatever, right?
Exactly.
And you chose to act because a lot of people, they read, right? Because you can read all you want, but if there's no action behind it, then what is that worth, right? It's just knowledge. I tell these people all the time, just read. How much did you read when you were reading those books? Like, did you read all day when you were like?
No, I would pick it up and read for sprints.
Yeah.
Probably 2 hours.
Yeah.
And then I'd listen to an audiobook on the way to work. There was a point in time, 2 years of my life, I didn't listen to any music. It was just podcasts or audiobooks. And then I would read, on night shift, I would just bring a book and I would just read 30, 40 minutes, 50 minutes, 2 hours, whatever. It was never kind of like a 10-minute thing per day until recently.
Yeah, I see. Yeah, because I've done the 10 pages per day now for a while. It's been great so far.
Yeah.
But, yeah. Larger stints. I mean, you're pretty locked in then if you're doing like 2-hour reads and etc.
Back then, yeah, I was. Now, with the workload that I have and like teaching myself to tunnel focus, like it's really easy to get shiny object syndrome. Like, oh, I see this item on TikTok Shop. Well, let me go buy inventory and then create a brand. Like I still struggle with it a little bit today, but I've tried multiple things, and it's been a very powerful skill to learn that you have to say no to some things.
Yeah.
Like back in the day, remember when I told you e-com, Amazon FBA, email marketing, social media marketing, digital marketing, all of it. I wanted to do all of it, and I did all of it. I traded stock options for a little bit, even penny stocks for a little bit. I tried an e-commerce drop shipping store, The Business Gentleman, Argature.com, and the Captain's Cup Coffee. Like I was just going, like basically throwing shit at the wall. And then what stuck, because I really truly enjoyed doing it, was YouTube.
Yeah.
And that being in the weeds day in and day out. I mean, you have click-through rates, you have average view duration, you have all these social media and digital marketing aspects that are involved in YouTube. So I learned it like the back of my hand. And when I was able to tunnel that focus, now I have like 4 things going on. instead of 12.
Yeah, that's quite interesting, because you had all these skills of, hey, Amazon FBA, right, for example, and you decided to make your YouTube channel on the military, or like the fitness type of aspect. So how did that process go? And like you deciding not to pursue Amazon FBA as, okay, hi, I have this skill on YouTube and present that. Why did you not choose to do that? Why did you choose the fitness route when it came to YouTube?
Well, I think every creator looks at themselves and they're like, who am I and what do I do? A lot of them try to go into I'm going to go finance because it's got high RPMs and earnings on YouTube. They're like, oh, I'm going to go into cooking because I can make a few cooking videos and make a couple $100,000. For me, I was truly, truly passionate. I've been doing the military 5 years before YouTube, and I had been doing fitness 8 years before YouTube. So, 8 years before YouTube. So I just looked at myself and I said, who am I? I'm a guy from Alabama who just joined the military, and I like to work out. So I'm going to make videos on that. It's what I do. I do it every single day. It allowed me to stay consistent. It allowed me to enjoy it. And that's what I did.
I see. When so that's of course choosing, like, hey, you are you, but how do you get over the fear of putting yourself out there? Because that's a question I get a lot. Hey, how do I start actually making a video? I tell people to just, hey, put up the camera, say something, and upload it, because the uploading part is the difficult one. Yeah. Because that's where the fear is. Everyone can pull up everyone records themselves being drunk or whatever, right? No one uploads it. Uploading is the fear part, of course.
Yeah.
Yeah. Again, who would upload that? But how do you get over that fear of, hey, I'm going to press this upload button and I'm not going to care about the outcome, for example?
Still to this day, every single time I press upload on YouTube, I have this fear that comes over me. Really? Because I'm like, what if people don't like it? What if people are this? What if people are that? But I listened to a podcast when I was first starting called The Power of Publish. And he said, just it's repetition. Like, I'm very comfortable in front of the camera and I just be myself, but that comes from 6 years plus of doing this. 6 years. It's a very uncomfortable feeling, for sure. And nobody will say, it's very comfortable. Just, film yourself and upload it. It probably even took you a little bit to film yourself and edit it. Yeah, it's like almost like public speaking. Like, when you press the publish button, you're exposing yourself to literally every person online if they wanted to see it. So my path started as getting comfortable using the camera and filming other people, knowing what the camera is capturing, how it's looking in the camera, and then the audio, how I'm sounding. And then I would sit down and just look at the camera. And it took me, hours to get a take that I was confident with. I'd be like, hey guys, welcome to my channel. No, that was stupid. Hey guys, welcome to my channel. No, that's fucking stupid. And I just say it over and over again. And then when I watched in the camera, I'm like, you know what? Every take is like the same. Every take is okay. Like, I look fine. It's just you're overthinking it in your head.
Yep.
So it takes some repetition. If you look back at my first few videos, I was very mundane and very soft-spoken and shy and everything. Now you look at my videos like, hey, welcome back to the channel. It's Austen Alexander. Today we're putting a Marine versus a Navy sailor. And it's going to get gruesome. And it's going to get wet. Like, I'm okay with making jokes and everything now.
Yep.
295 videos plus been uploaded to my channel. So it just comes from repetition.
I see.
Repetition.
So there is a step-by-step process to it then?
Yes.
Right. So the first thing what's the absolute first thing you would recommend for anyone? Is to just pick up the camera and start playing with it? Just film anything?
Yeah, I would say get comfortable with your camera. I mean, a lot of people have phones. A lot of people start on their phones, which is okay.
I did.
When you go out, so I think about it like this. When you go out and you go to Walmart and you see people shopping, they're just people shopping. There's nothing, you don't look at them and be like, oh, look at that piece of shit. He's ugly. Like, nobody does that. Nobody spends the time, and honestly, nobody cares. When people come across a video, they're selfish and they want to take from it. They want to take information. So they're looking less at you and more about what can I take from this video. So if you think about it just like filming yourself and uploading it, if you just think about it like, hey, I'm going to Walmart. I mean, you're out in public. People are seeing you. People are seeing your body language. People are probably hearing you speak. Then it makes it a whole lot easier to kind of process what's going on. You're just going out in public. And some people even have a fear of going into the public. You know, they get anxious around larger crowds, or they get anxious in even the supermarkets. And my rebuttal to that would be, look within yourself, develop some confidence. If you know that you're doing the right thing and you're carrying yourself a good way, then what else is there to worry about? Mm-hmm. You know, I used to have breakouts all over my face, and I still have scars on them. I used to be super self-conscious about that. But I could stand up in front of a room in the Navy and, like with my friends in my leadership, I could talk all day about the weather, the boat, you know, the sea state, how the boats are looking, blah, 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 whatever. Mm-hmm. So that also helped me a lot. And if anybody is asking you or asking me, how do I become more confident in public? I would say, again, repetition. Yeah. Go out. If you're talking to a group of 2 or 3 of your friends, if you're going out, you're talking to, you know, a stranger, mm-hmm. like it's repetition and just building that confidence.
Mm-hmm. Do you think that it starts with confidence? No, I mean, confidence starts with competence. And so maybe if you were go out and, you know, provide some value in any sort of way, mm-hmm. like talking to people, do you think that you should draw from what you know, like what you're competent in? Because everyone's competent in something, to some extent, right? Do you think that could be, the confidence could be derived from that?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, everybody has like a skill set, whether it's like, if your job is flipping burgers at In-N-Out, which pays really well in California, by the way, you know, just speak on what you know and what you're familiar with. Like if someone came up to somebody else in public and was asking them about, let's say they had a dad in the military, and they were this person that's you know, doesn't have the confidence to make a video and post it online. Let's say another person comes and asks them about it in a real friendly way, just they're needing advice and needing help. This person would be pretty inclined to just talk to this person because it's helping them out. Like, I think of the same way. Like, this video that I make is going to help someone achieve more pull-ups, or it's going to motivate somebody to go to the gym. Yeah. It's going to motivate somebody to wake up a little earlier. And if you balance that with your fear of being, you know, seen or judged online, like, it's a pretty good mm-hmm. motivator to make that video.
Yep.
People just have to believe that they have something to offer. Mm-hmm. Every single person has something to offer. I love going and talking to people that I don't even know who they are. Like, I was on a ferry the other day chatting with this dude just on a ferry on the way to Catalina, and just having the best conversation, just talking about his childhood, his businesses, all these things. I didn't even know who he was. So I believe that every single person on this planet has something to offer.
Yep. I heard a friend I talked to a few months ago, he said to me, we were talking about doing sales calls and stuff, mm-hmm. and he said to me, listen, the biggest disservice you're doing is not providing that service, right? To letting people off the call, for example, because they're there and they need help with something, and you're letting them go, right? Mm-hmm. And so I guess you can say in some way that not providing that value to someone is, and just thinking of yourself like, hey, yeah, I can't do this, right? What if someone, I think that's kind of egotistical in a way, because you're putting so much self-importance on yourself. Hey, but in reality, no one cares, right? And so the biggest disservice is actually you not, you know, going out there, not being confident in the way you provide that value, right?
Yeah, that's a good way to look at it.
Yeah.
I think to that, I would say there's tons of people that they don't believe that they have value. So you just have to believe that you have value. I mean, I think that I have value. I don't know specifically what always.
I think so too.
Thank you so much. But if your value that you're giving is just a good conversation with someone, like, they may need that. Yeah. So yeah, finding value within yourself that you allow yourself to give to others, conversation, answering a question, whatever. Find the value in yourself, and it will give you the confidence to speak.
Yep.
So you asked me if fighting would make me a better person. I think that I already am the greatest person alive. No, I'm just kidding.
I think that way. I think, yeah. Well, I have blind confidence in that.
You good? I mean,
I think everyone should have that blind confidence, as long as it's like, as long as it can be based in something. Mm-hmm. I think it's not like it's not like I come across, hey, I'm the most, an arrogant way. It's just that I like to think of myself as phenomenal, And I think that's the best way to go about it, but I don't like project it. That's the way different
You're
thing,
humble.
right?
You're humble about it.
Yeah, I learn from people.
Yeah.
But still, I think I think there's a balance to it. But yeah,
I think if you really believe that, it carries you a long way. Like if you're constantly getting up and looking in the mirror and you're like, oh man, I'm ugly. Like I'm not blah, 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 this and that. Like that's what you're going to think when other people talk to you. Mm-hmm. So I like to get up and look in the mirror and be like, dang, you are handsome. Dang, you're a hard worker. Dang, you deserve more than what you have now. Like, go get it.
Yeah.
And to some people, that comes off as, oh, that's cocky and whatever. I never come to somebody and say, hey, I'm better looking than you. Hey, I'm more fit than you. Like, that's not humble.
Yeah.
I can say whatever I want to about myself.
Yeah.
My grandma always told me, thoughts become things. So if you can think it and you put yourself in a position in a winning mindset, then you're going to win. So, yeah, back to what you were saying about I think that I'm the greatest, whatever. You should.
Yeah. I also, when I don't perform the task I know is necessary, I look in the mirror like, hey, this is not good enough.
Yeah.
You underperformed today. Hey, let's say I'm doing 2 workouts. I only got 1, right, for example. Even then, it's like, I got 1. Hey, you should have done 2. This is not good enough. Mm-hmm. And then maybe I'll have to do a certain amount of push-ups at punishment. Sometimes not, right? Or do something to make up for that. But so it goes both ways, of course. I think that's kind of what separates it from being arrogance, when you have that humbleness to it, and of course not projecting it, just like you said. But yeah, to the fighting thing, you have everything right now. You're disciplined, right? You're strong. You have everything. You have dialed in on the business and everything. So, yeah, like doing combat sports, is that of any interest to you?
I think so. Yeah, I think it'll be a good challenge and journey to share on YouTube. I mean, it's something I've never tried before, so I'm always willing to try new things for sure. I don't care if it makes me look stupid. I don't care if it makes me look whatever. I don't care if I lose a match or whatever. At least I could say, hey, I did this, and I gave it a shot, and who knows? I mean, I may love fighting. Who knows?
Yeah, but you make these videos, like these fitness challenges, and sometimes you don't succeed.
No.
So you don't care like at all when it comes to showing. You're not afraid to show that you failed a challenge.
No. I think transparency is king. Like, people can look at me and say, like, Austen's a great person, but he's not perfect at everything. Like, I know YouTubers that will take on a challenge and film it, and if they don't succeed, they won't post it. And, like, obviously people know that you're not perfect, and they know that you're a human. You're not going to pass everything that you take on. And people relate to that. People know, like, they can take on a challenge, like, I'm going to run this half marathon. I'm going to give it my best shot, and maybe I'll come below 2 hours or an hour and a half or whatever. And if they don't, that's a reality.
Yeah.
And transparency is king over anything. I've never claimed to be somebody that I'm not, and I won't, because it sickens me. I don't know how some people can go fake something and go to sleep at night. Yeah. I don't get it. Yeah. Like, I make mistakes. So I make mistakes all the time. And I'll take on a fitness challenge. I won't pass it. There's one test. It was the first test that I failed on my channel. This is back when I first started. It's the Air Force PASS test, physical assessment screening test. And I was looking at it. I was like, okay, I got push-ups, I got sit-ups, pull-ups, run, underwater, swim may be a problem. I got to the sit-ups and I failed them. I mean, it was event number 2 because you have to put your hands behind your head. And we felt it, and the guy's like, are you gonna keep going? I was like, well, of course. You know, I mean, yeah, it's transparency. It's above all.
Mm-hmm. Do you find a lot of confidence in putting that out there? The fact that you failed?
I do.
Yeah.
Yeah, because people can look at me and they say, you know, Austen's just a dude that takes on fitness challenges. He's not the master of rucking. He's not the master of running. He's not a professional in anything by any means. But I relate to him.
Yeah. Because
in my life, I felt things too. Mm-hmm. And I think it brings a level of comfort. I always say, okay, I failed this, and this is how I could do better. Like when I failed 7 obstacles or 6 obstacles at the Nasty Nick course, we didn't make it look like I passed them. It was obvious that I failed them.
Yeah.
The instructor's like, hey, you didn't pass this. Keep going to the next one. You know? So it's transparency and it's relatable.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
I never go into a challenge saying I'm going to fail this.
Because that's another thing, right? You don't want to do that.
No,
Go
not at
into
all.
it and say that you failed. I try to talk about like optimal ways of thinking, and that's just one of them, right? Just not thinking that, hey, I'm not gonna fail this. That's no way to go about it, right?
Yeah.
But talk to me about the military. You served 6 years, right?
7 years.
7 years.
Yep.
I'm the one who served 6 years.
Yeah. That's kind of weak. Get on my level. 7 years.
So, how did you decide that you wanted to do that?
My parents were going through a tough divorce, and it was kind of like a reality check. Like, hey, Austen, this is your life. Like, you can't depend on your parents for everything. And I was living with my dad at the time, and I said, I don't have an education. I dropped out of college. Hold on.
That's fine.
Speaking of the devil, my dad's calling. This is crazy. I'll have to call him back later. My dad and my mom were going through a tough divorce, and there's no longer like a nest anymore. You know, I had found comfort in that nest at the house. You know, knowing my mom and dad were going to be there. My mom moved out, and I was like, shit, I need to do something and become an individual and do something for myself. And my dad will call 30 times. He doesn't understand that I'm busy, but he...
It's fine.
I'm telling you. And I was approached by a Marine recruiter. He's like, hey, dude, what the fuck you doing? I'm like, well, I'm sitting here. He's like, what are you doing with your life? And I said, I'm cutting grass for the city of Florence. Like, all, confident about it.
Did you cut grass? Was that your job?
I was cutting grass full time for the city of Florence. Yeah.
Really?
And I was doing work in college. It was I hated it. I hated college because I was going into school completely drained from work all day, and I was having to do math and learn about resistors, capacitors, ohms, all of these, like having to build custom circuits. And I was like, my brain's circuits are not designed to do this. Yeah. So I quit, and I dropped out of college and was still cutting grass. And I was like, came to the realization like, hey, I can't do this forever. And so I started considering the military, and I walked into the recruiting office one time. They didn't say anything to me. Before I left, the recruiter said, do you want to join the Navy? And I was like, nope. He said, okay, take this pamphlet. I said, all right. I looked through a little Navy pamphlet, and I left, and I was looking at it, and I was like, you know what? I need to get out of here. Take me away. I'm ready to leave. I'm a great executor, terrible planner. I'll execute all day. To me, like, the execution almost is as important as the planning, because if you execute, you're going to make mistakes. You're going to have to withdraw a little bit and execute again. So when I joined the Navy, I went in and I got into boot camp. Day 2, I was like, this is a mistake. Get me out of here. So, of course, just a change of mindset and being adapted, thrown into that military culture. It was a culture shock for me. Yeah. And that's what got me into the military, is just realizing that I wanted to be more and be independent and being able to provide for myself, maybe future family. That's why I joined.
Yeah. I like what you said about that. The knowledge and the planning and the execution. Because I'm always, that's why the action man and all this stuff, right? It's always just full force and everything.
Yeah.
But people are very fond of thinking, right? They think thinking is, but it's not really. It's kind of like, mental masturbation in a way. Start thinking, planning all this, but nothing actually happens, right? There's no forward movement. Of course, some knowledge is good, but I think that, the execution is that's where the actual growth happens. And the analogy I have is like, sure, you can plan, and then you can take 2 steps forward in one go. But that planning, while you were doing all that planning, you could have just executed, gone 2 steps forward and 1 step back, and you would have learned everything it took to get to those 2 steps,
100%,
right?
100%.
But you would be 1 step further already.
Yeah, Exactly.
That's the analogy I like to use for that, because you're gonna fail regardless. So you might as well just, execute on it.
Yeah.
But would you recommend, because a lot of the people watch my channel, watch my stuff, young guys, right? Would you recommend people to join the military today?
100%.
Yeah.
100%. It puts you in a team aspect like no other. You will not find that anywhere else. Not only does it put you in a team aspect, sometimes you're dealing with life or death situations. So you really learn how to stay sharp and stay focused. If I want, I can turn my brain on to the point where I'm not missing a beat. It's very draining, but like that's something I learned in the military. Is if someone says, okay, we have to get to this certain point by this time, and it has to be done because so-and-so is going to,
explode or whatever.
Yeah, exactly.
Right? Yeah.
My brain looks at that path, and I can pick out points of safety, points of, the most important, whatever. I'm not going to, still to this day, I don't really remember birthdays. I'm really bad at remembering information that's not life or death. And for me, life or death now is the business, So I have this big picture of what needs to be done, and I learned to think that way because of the military.
Yeah.
Like, for example, we had, they call them HVAs, high-valued assets that pull in.
Yep.
Aircraft carriers that would pull into the dock. Our job, big picture, making sure that aircraft carrier makes it to the dock safely. Anything else outside of that realm, you don't need to put as much brain power towards it. So in order to do that, to provide safety, you got to have your guns loaded. You got to have your gunner. You got to have a good coxswain. Me, I'm the best boat driver ever. And you got to have your communications. As long as you have those 4 things, you're good. So if we were in like a time restraint where we had to get out there in 6 minutes, I'm focusing less on are my boots strapped? I'm focusing less on my uniform top. I'm focusing less on like the time of day, or even less like water for the crew. If I know we're going to be there for max 2 hours, you can survive without that, but you can't survive without comms, weaponry, make sure your boat is capable of going out there. So it's just a way of thinking. So yeah, to answer your question, yes, if someone's considering the military, 100%, I'd say go into it. I'd say I've made 2 really good decisions during my lifetime. The first is the best decision I've ever made is joining the military.
Okay.
The second best decision I've ever made is getting out. So yes, 100% recommend it. Yeah.
I think some people get stuck on that second part too. They don't leave.
Mm-hmm.
I think you kind of get, because I've seen people, they kind of get stuck in the mud. And
Yeah.
it's easy to get comfortable. Even if you're doing something right, it's still easy to get comfortable. Because there's a lot of stuff you probably should be doing. Maybe, for example, this is very common. Entrepreneurs, they don't work out, right? Because they leverage the whole thing on, I have all this money, right? So they're comfortable.
Yeah.
But hey, that's is success, right? In some way, but hey, it's still comfort. So I think a lot of people might, miss out on the, getting out of it. Do you think that it's, some people, you need the people who know everything, who stay in there for a long time. Mm-hmm. God bless.
Yes.
But do you think that some people are in there for way too long, longer than they should? Are they missing out on stuff if they stay too long?
Yes.
Yeah.
Your time is the most valuable thing on this planet. And people don't realize it until they're like, 30. I'm sure you've realized it. But people don't realize it until you get 27, 28, maybe even 35. And the military takes so much time from you. I'm not a fan of military retirement. A lot of people have retired and make successful careers out of the military. And like you're saying, we need those top tier officers.
Phenomenal people.
If they crave that, like all money aside, benefits aside, if they want that and they can be an effective leader and that's a smart use of their time, 100% go for it. But for me, I was so limited by my chain of command and the rank structure. I was limited on my own potential because of the military. And when I realized that, that's when I made the decision to get out. Mm-hmm. I tell everybody, hey, don't go into the military thinking you're going to do 20 years because you don't even know what it's like. People are like, yeah, I'm 18. I'm going to do 20 in the military. You don't know that. Don't make that decision. Yep. Sign for the smallest contract that you can for 6 years, and then base your decisions on getting out on that.
Yeah.
And use it as a stepping stone.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So that's awesome. You now, from what you've learned in the military, you leverage that into your civilian life, right?
Yes.
With the businesses.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if I mentioned it. You own multiple businesses. You partner with multiple. Has that type of, like you said, with you being able to look at the goal, hey, we're going to get this aircraft carrier or this plane in, right? And being able to cut that down into these simple 4 tasks, hey, comms, guns, boats, right, whatever. That exact thing, have you leveraged that to your advantage when it comes to entrepreneurial path?
Every single day.
Yeah.
Every single day. I mean, now I look at a target, like when I wake up, okay, first thing is getting myself in motion. I wake up, I drink water. You saw me drink water this morning.
Yep.
I'll probably hit some caffeine and do some thinking outside. You probably realized I was outside for like 20 minutes, just getting some sunlight and thinking.
Yep.
And that all comes to play, like, because in my mind, I'm like, okay, this is the work that I need to do. Post for Operation Good Boy, post for Hypercon Games, send out emails for Hypercon Games, film intro with you, film outro with G Fuel, and film an audio piece for G Fuel integration. Like all the steps that are needed there start with something. So that first, getting myself up, getting my head right is a part of that step. Mm-hmm. And I look at everything like that. I try to break it down to the small details. And I have a videographer. I mean, I try to break it down into the bigger picture details. My videographer is complete opposite. He loves small details, and he'll look at me all day and be like, "You're wrong here. You're wrong here. You fucked up here." Blah 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 blah. Which I appreciate. It helps me think about things in a different way. But overall, I'm an executor, and I'm focused on point A to point B. How do we get to point A from point A to point B? Mm-hmm. So I use that every single day.
Right.
Yep.
I think that is a big part of, like we mentioned, being like a managerial role or like an entrepreneur. Mm-hmm. Like, hey, I'm gonna get the big picture here. Just take all these tasks, and then you have specialists who are like really, really focused on one simple task, and then they just feed information. Hey, we thought about this. Hey, we thought about that, right? And that's also something you see with the military, right? You have smaller units feeding it in, the information spread out. You craft another plan, and then you go to the next one. Boom, 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 go. What other parts of the military have you recognized in the civilian life, and have you like used to, really get out there and, perform?
Yeah, communication. As an entrepreneur, you can take it a decent ways by yourself, but you always need to build a team. Hire fast, fire fast. So hire as soon as you can. Hire people to pick up your weaknesses and pick up the part that takes the majority of your time. Mm-hmm. And in order to do that, you have to be able to communicate with people, like through job interviews, through tasking, everything. Like my whole editing team, they're like my boys. Like they know me, they know my humor, but I'm able to still communicate with them effectively, so they do a professional job. I don't get mad, and I don't raise my voice. I don't get mad often unless targets are not hit. And in the military, you always learn praise in public, discipline in the shadows. You never want to discipline somebody in front of somebody else because it belittles them.
Yep.
So on my team meetings Monday, it is all 100% positive. All 100% positive. Hey, team, this is the goal this week. We have new Battle Bunker Bus episodes, and we have a few with call to actions that we're going to use to promote our new battle bands. And Nick, your last draft was an incredible draft. It looks awesome. I love the graphics, like praise in public. That way, in the the work circle, they feel like they're doing good, which they are.
Yeah.
But
it's genuine, of course.
Exactly. Yeah. And it's very genuine. It's not like I'm blowing smoke up anybody's ass or anything like that. So if something is not hitting, if somebody is not hitting the goal, like, hey, Trooper, can you stay like 5-10 minutes after? I want to chat with you about something. Okay, cool. Trooper, Austen, and whoever. I mean, I don't have to discipline or get on to these guys much, but take them aside and you just upfront with them. Like, dude, last week was a great week. You hit 15 deliverables, which is what we need. This week, you've only delivered 3 so far. So I just want to check. Make sure, do not jump to conclusions. Jumping to conclusions is an emotional state that you're in. So get the full story first. So like, is everything good? Like, how you feeling? Are you everything good? Well, no, my uncle passed away. Okay, now shift empathetic mode. Okay, I'm sorry to hear that. Like, I can relate to because my aunt passed away 2 years ago. And this is a very specific circumstance. You have to kind of mold these and take them on as they come. But is there anything I can do to help? Like, maybe if you have to attend a funeral on Friday, maybe we cut your deliverables down to 10 this week, and then you make up for it next week.
Yep.
Yeah, that's good. That's good. We'll do that. Okay, cool. You're on the same page. Communication is clear. He knows that the deliverables still have to be met because you're paying him the same. And also, he has a circumstance where he's able to attend a funeral, which, everybody should be able to do. So clear communication, definitely something that I've been taught in the military. It's one of the biggest things, leadership and communication. Because with that communication, you have to be able to communicate and relay it in a way that doesn't come off selfish, that doesn't come off irritable, patronizing. So, because nobody's going to work, I say with you, but it's for you. Nobody's going to work for you if you're a bad leader. I hate bad leaders.
Yeah.
And there's tons of them in the military. So I just take things that they done that I saw it and I didn't like, and I just have learned from it.
Yeah. Because did you have a leadership role in the military or no?
A smaller one, yeah.
You never taught like the school way of leadership, like military leadership, or were you?
I went to BLC, basic leadership course, and that's where I really learned praise in public and discipline in the shadows. And it really just made sense to me. And I would use that with the sailors that I was kind of overseeing. I was an E5, I was a boat PO. So I was in charge of mobilizing the E3s and E4s to get the boats ready and to fill out boat reports and everything like that. And so, yeah, it's definitely something I learned in the military, for sure.
I see. When I saw you work now, right, you have all these skills. You know how to edit. You set up these microphones. You do it all, really. So these skills that you've learned, has that taken all these 6 years of you just trying it out with the YouTube and everything? Has it just come over time?
Yeah, it has never just come to me. It's something that, I make a salary from a few companies, including my own. If I wanted to, I could just kind of sit back, not do anything, and not learn, not teach myself. But it's something that I've willingly wanted to learn. And as a creator, you have to know the entire creative process, because if you're hiring someone to do this job, you know exactly what they're doing. If you're hiring someone to do a videographer job, you know exactly what they should be doing. Mm-hmm. If you are hiring blindly, then you don't have a proper job description for these people. Like, I know editing, I know how to use captions, I know how to post on YouTube, I know how to create a thumbnail. When I hire for this job, I know exactly those job requirements, and I just offload it. If I see a thumbnail that's messed up, if I see something that's not rendered out in 1280 by 720, or if a video is rendered out in 1080 instead of 4K, I know how to fix it. Yeah. So, yeah, learning all these job roles is absolutely crucial for me. Anything from editing to setting up microphones, the cameras, like, taught myself all of it. Mm-hmm. And right now I'm learning retail, distributors, brokers, retail, advertisements for retail. And that's something new that I don't know anything about with Operation Good Boy. And that's something I'm taking on.
Okay. Yeah. I just noticed because it's really interesting how you swap the lenses on the camera. Like, oh, this good wider angle, like, yeah, crazy. And you edit and all this stuff, right?
Yeah. At my heart, I'm a creator. I know everything there is. Well, if my videographer sees this, he has OCD and he's a perfectionist. But I know 90% of what there is to know about a camera. Okay.
He's going to be like, no, you don't.
Well, he's going to be like, well, you don't know how to change the white balance when it's 6,500 kelvins outside and you're filming at 5,500 kelvins. And I'm like, okay, well, maybe I don't know about that, but
right.
Yeah, he's real. Which makes him a great part of the team. Yeah. He fills in the gaps that I can't fill.
Mm-hmm. I see. Let's talk about training.
Yes.
You've you've done the bodybuilding show in the past, right? Mm-hmm. Now you're doing you're doing, this is something I think you're on your hat there, hybrid con games, but on the Sunday you're doing the high rock, so you have two completely different events, right? A bodybuilding and then the high rocks, right?
Yeah, well,
That's like a more CrossFit event type thing.
it's hybrid.
Yeah, hybrid.
High rocks is everything. It's an 8K total run. It's 8 events. You do a kilometer run between each event. So it's skiing, it's sandbags, farmer carries, rowing, which I'm pretty good at, wall balls, which I suck at, sled pushes I'm pretty good at, sled pulls pretty good at. 8 events. It's very hybrid.
Yeah. And so how because right now you're doing that, right? The hybrid thing. How has your training evolved from when you started? Because you probably started like anyone else, like, oh, you went to the gym, lifted weights.
Yep.
How has it evolved from that into now doing, hey, I'm going to do some running and swimming and doing all this, right? And why do you enjoy doing that now?
It all started when I was about 17 years old at the YMCA. My brother, maybe 16, 17, my brother was like, hey, come to the gym with me. I was like, all right. We started doing bicep curls. You know, I started feeling the burn. I started breathing a little bit harder and started learning. And I started out in the bodybuilding realm. And then when I signed up for the Navy, it's like, hey, you got to know how to swim. You have to do a lot of calisthenics. So I shifted my training. I went to a CrossFit gym. I would lift decently heavy. And then I would go for longer runs and swims, taught myself how to swim. I had never swam in a pool before, besides when I was 17. When I was 19. So like bodybuilding from 17 to like 19, 20. And then I switched to more performance base, calisthenics, push-ups, pull-ups, sit-ups, swimming, running. And I got okay at doing like, 1.5 to 3 mile runs, nothing more than that. When I joined the Navy and I was in MAA school, you just want to look good in your security. So I was back to bodybuilding. And throughout 2017, 2018, 2019, I was bodybuilding. Wasn't really doing any running. I do a short swim every once in a while just to keep my body moving. But then in 2017, I did the bodybuilding show. Really tuned in, taught myself how to lose weight, taught myself how to get shredded, everything about bodybuilding. And then during the coronavirus where you couldn't go to gyms, I started using bands. So it was just like a lot of banded stuff, some sprints here and there. But in 2022, I decided to take on another challenge. It was a swim on the ocean. It was a 4-mile swim. I was like, well, I've swam before, and I can pretty much keep moving. So I shifted over to like longer endurance things. I would do a little bit of running, 6-7 miles, and then I would swim 2K, 3K, 4K or 4,000 meters. And then when I did the swim, kind of switched back to bodybuilding. And in 2023, last year, I ended a 5-year relationship. And the best thing for a person after a breakup, in my opinion, is fitness. Yeah. And for running, it allowed me to take my mind off everything. I was just run, focus on breathing. I started doing longer runs, 7, 8, 9. The morning after we broke up, I ran a 10-miler. First time I ever ran anything longer than like 9 miles, 8 miles maybe. And then, so the last about 2 years, I've been kind of hybrid between powerlifting, bodybuilding, and then some endurance. And then I built up, I ran an 11-mile trail for the HybridCon Games last year to test it out. And then I ran a marathon, 26.2 miles. And so now I've been kind of doing the endurance / weightlifting route.
You feel that bodybuilding was a good base for you to have that muscle? And is that something you would recommend anyone to start with when it comes to, like, let's say they have nothing, they don't know anything. Would you think that you would rather do, let's say you could choose, like, okay, you should start swimming, you should start bodybuilding, you should start running, right, to become truly capable. Would you then say to someone, I think you should start lifting weights and doing bodybuilding first?
I think
if they could only choose one.
Like, okay, but between those three, I would say it's a tough one because, like you asked me yesterday, do you think sports are a great segue into fitness? And yes, if someone is out of shape, but they like playing basketball or soccer, I would say go for that. and then add some maybe resistance training. I think everyone needs a little bit of cardiovascular to feel good, to look good, and just to be proud of yourself. And then the resistance training. So it all depends. If someone was just getting up off the couch, like to just get active, I would say go walk for 45 minutes. And then I would say, next week, jog for 45 minutes total, and then maybe get into running. And then once you get a solid cardiovascular base, then add the resistance training. Mm-hmm. But to answer your question, pick one. I'd say it's based on that person.
Yeah.
But it should ultimately lead to some type of resistance training. Yep. Bands, weights, everybody needs to be strong. It's good for your movement. It's good for your joints. Good for your muscles. It's good for your aging. It's good for your head. It's good for metabolism. It's good for literally everything. Yeah. There's almost no downside of resistance training.
Looking for ladies too.
Exactly. Looking for mamacitas. Exactly.
Mamacitas.
Yeah.
So when you started creating these videos, right, these fitness challenges, mm-hmm. you started out just recording yourself.
Yep.
Did you face a lot of criticism after you started that way? Or from people you know or knew?
When you say a lot, I would say like...
A bit of?
A bit,
resistance?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I can look at any video online and find something wrong with it if I wanted. And when people are scrolling and they're seeing these things, they're usually in a headspace like, hey, I'm not where I want to be at, so I'm looking for motivation, I'm looking for whatever. People love to discredit you. I can literally make a video online and say, hey, my name's Austen, I'm 31, I'm from Alabama, and then post it. People be like, well, you look like you're fucking 38. What the heck? Like people, people would make fun of my complexion all the time. They'd be like, hey, I want to bang your mom. Like I put my mom in a vlog. Like, well, that's a compliment. But yeah. I got a lot of it. Yeah. I mean, a lot compared to like when you have a video with 3 million views on it, a lot can be 1%, 3,000 comments or 300 comments. Yeah. So yes, for sure.
How did you deal with that in the beginning? Because it's very like discouraging, for a lot of people. But the consistency wins, of course. But how did you deal with it?
It was tough at first, but it made me hard. It made me who I am today. Like someone can go up to me today and be like, "Dude, you're ugly.
Bro.
Like the scars on your face, just ugly, and your hair is like doo-doo brown." And I'd be like, "All right," because I don't value their opinion. So, yeah, I mean, when I was first getting those comments and they're calling me out on things that I was self-conscious about, yeah, it hurt a little bit. Mm-hmm. Yeah. But you learn to get over it because you learn not to value people's opinion who don't even matter. I mean, I don't even know this guy. All of my friends, every single one of my friends would never look at me and try to downgrade me. Because, first of all, they know me, and I don't think there's anything to downgrade me about. They're going to tell me when I'm messing up. Like, dude, you've been waking up at 7:30 instead of 5:30. The fuck is wrong with you?
You need that.
Because you have a good circle. So there are people in my life who I really value their opinion. Mm-hmm. And sometimes when you mess up and they say, hey, you're fucking up. Like, I don't appreciate when you kept me out until late at night and you didn't feed me, which happened Sunday.
I see.
It hurts a little.
Yep.
But that's just regular human emotion. So I would say learn whose opinion you need to value.
Yep.
If it's someone off the street, if people don't know you, do not value their opinion. If they're giving you something constructive, like, hey, great video, but you should post this in 6K. Take it, consider it. It's maybe something that you could consider and act on. But criticism that has no boundaries and nothing constructive about it, ignore it.
I see. When it comes to that friendship and that circle, I had this question. I took this question in yesterday. It was, what's a line that you never let a friend cross? And I couldn't find an answer for it, so I didn't respond to it because I couldn't find an answer for it. Because in my mind, it's like, it never comes to that point, really. But what do you think about that question?
Exactly. Just like what you said, I have the perfect answer to this. A true friend will already know the lines that they should not cross.
That's good.
They will already know.
That's really
the friends that I have in my life, they would never steal from me. They would never take advantage of me. They would never lie to me. They're always upfront with me. And That's it.
Yeah.
A true friend will always know the boundaries they don't need to cross. Like with my boys' closest friends, like a boundary that's kind of unspoken are women.
Of course.
Like if, yeah,
We talked about this.
exactly.
Yeah.
You say, of course, but a lot of people have people in their life who would easily backstab them.
That's crazy.
And, you know, if I've dated like here and there, like during the relationship even, I would have people that I meet, you know, they're cool and whatnot, but they would be messaging my girlfriend on the side. Like, and just trying to, you know, just talk to them. Like, I'm like, okay, this is someone that I need to keep at a distance.
Oh, definitely.
Yeah.
That's why I have trouble relating to this, because I guess I'm just ruthless about, hey, okay, get the fuck out of here, I guess, about it. So I guess that's why it's so difficult to relate to those people who try to backstab you. Do you think loyalty is missing today to this society? Do you think it's not valued as much as it used to be?
I think it's valued by everyone, but I think people don't care enough about a person to remain loyal to them. Mm-hmm. People are selfish, naturally selfish. And they are constantly looking for, what can I get? What can I get? What can I take? What can I get from this person? And they will ruin a friendship and ruin that loyalty if it means they get ahead a little bit. And I've had so many people in my life that have done that. You know, I'm pretty good about who I let in and who knows my whole business operation and like knows what's happening with me mentally and everything. Mm-hmm. But it takes a long time. And usually I can pick out something about a person, like not loyal, acts weird, you know, wants something from me, asking before I let them in. Mm-hmm. And it's a skill that you learn to develop through trial and error and through a little bit of heartache.
Yeah. I heard someone say that. Was it genuine or loyalty? I thought, regardless, right? It was something like, yeah, you can't learn to be genuine, you can't learn to be loyal. But I disagree, because I think that certain situations teaches you the value of it, of course. Did those values that are instilled with you right now, does that come a lot from the military? Just the loyalty and everything, is that derived from there? Just from the good and the bad, of course. Bad leaders, good leaders, right? You learning to, hey, I'm standing up for this or whatnot.
I think it's a mix of both. I think someone that's not ever exposed to the military can go through those circumstances where their friend stabs them in the back or something like that, and then they become kind of calloused to it. But being in the military, you're exposed to a lot of people. I think it helps accelerate you learning those, you know, learning the quality of loyalty and how to define and how to see loyalty in a person. So, yeah, I mean, I've had multiple leaders in the military who don't give a shit about their people. They just want to look good on paper. Mm-hmm. Like, they have you do this stupid ass thing in order to make them look better on paper. And none of our names are up here on their eval list. But I've also had leaders who deflect the praise and tries to give it, you know, to their subordinates or their younger crew. Yep. I mean, that's a good loyalty. That's a good loyal quality to have. Yeah. And I think I still use that. Like, I hate saying the word I. Like, I am co-founder of Operation Good Boy. I am founder of Hypercon Games. I'm founder of Battle Bunker. I like to say we, because I have a whole crew of people who helped me. Like, we made this happen. Yeah. We planned the Hypercon Games. At Operation Good Boy, we have the best quality supplements for your dog. Like, yeah, it's just.
Do you think vocabulary plays a part in the mindset and the actions that are derived from that mindset?
Yes, because you can say a sentence, if it's not well formulated, it can be taken a complete opposite way. Like, Ivan is Bulgarian. He's the person that's close to me. I work with him every single day. He's Bulgarian. He's very blunt about what he says. And he says he's learned this prior, but I try to teach him about the cushion method. If you have something hard and sharp to deliver to someone, you have to cushion it because it makes them feel better and it makes them more receptive. It opens their ears up more. Mm-hmm. So if let's say I know this would never happen, but if you dropped out of the ruck on Sunday, if you're like, fuck this, I couldn't do it, I wouldn't look at you and I'd be like, dude, what the fuck? You dropped out of the ruck. What the fuck is wrong with you? I would say, Nikolai, dude, I really appreciate your time here, and I really appreciate you flying out. Like, it's been great, and I think you're a great person. But you came out here for a reason, and it's to do the ruck, and you can't do it. That's, it sucks a little.
Yeah.
But I'm confident that you can continue, and I can fly you out here again when you're confident about it, and you can come back. Did you notice how I sandwiched that?
Yeah.
It's a lot easier for people to hear. Now, you're used to hearing criticism all the time.
Yeah.
Like,
the worst part of it, right?
Exactly. And you're used to it, and you take it well. But 99% of people do not do that. So you have to cushion it and deliver it and communicate and lead with them in mind.
Yeah, that's something I have had to learn too, probably you too, after the military, into civilian life, because people aren't used to hearing stuff really bluntly.
Yeah.
So just like you said,
Not
like
at all.
you can't really just go straight from A to B. You have to mix in all this.
Exactly. And it's annoying sometimes, like, because with Ivan, I can shoot him straight.
Yeah.
And he can shoot me straight.
Yeah.
I've already told him, like, hey, you don't have to cushion anything with me. Give me the raw, like, how you feel. But with the editors and everything that have stayed up for 20 plus hours to edit this edit, if it's not a good edit, now he says, our editor's name is Nick. Now he says, Nick, dude, I think this part of the graphics look awesome, and I really appreciate your time on this, but this edit is not right. So I'm going to have to ask you to continue it. But we'll keep working on it, and then we'll give you some time off. Thanks for your working on this. They can take it, and they say, okay, they're appreciative of what I've edited, but we still have a mission to accomplish, and then everything will be fine on the back end. So, yeah, effective communication is important.
Do you think that if you let's say you went back into the military right now, with all the stuff you learned about leadership just to do entrepreneurial ventures, do you think that you'd be a really good military leader as well?
I do.
Yeah.
I do. I think my job now is forming relationships and networking. Yeah. So if you can get people to like you while still being able to provide a clear message and lead, you've won in like almost every circumstance. The military is so important to be a good leader. And you don't have to even you can be an E3 or an E2, whatever. Someone's going to look at you for leadership, whether it's the new check-in or whatever. So, yeah, 100%. Because now I've been exposed to, I work with military people all the time. I work with civilians all the time. Yeah. I work with people from different countries all the time. So, like, having a vast array of people to talk to and to have to communicate with has made me a pretty good leader, in my opinion, when I need to.
Of course.
80% of the time, I'm just in chill mode. Yeah. Everything is, because I don't have the capacity to be like that 24/7. Yeah. But when it comes time for an important conversation, like at the meeting this morning, I'm locked in.
Yep.
These are some good questions.
Is it?
Yeah.
You think I'm a good
interviewer?
You think
yeah.
I'm a good interviewer?
When I get on a podcast, they're like, so what's your favorite color? I'm like,
really?
Blue. And how do you feel about that? I'm like, I just like blue.
You feeling blue?
Feeling blue. Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
I appreciate that. Okay, so let's talk about what you have in your hand, the HybridCon games. What is that?
HybridCon games. The word HybridCon is derived from hybrid conditioning. It's a competition we started with Battle Bunker in 2022. The first iteration was called the Battle Bunker Flagship Competition. Battle Bunker, it was born as an obstacle course, and it has transformed into a hybrid fitness company. The HybridCon Games is a competition that we host now. It's evolved into the HybridCon Games. It's a competition we host where it's a mix between tactical, OCR, and CrossFit, if you want to call it that. We do all practical movements. We test people mentally and physically, and every scenario can be potentially applied to the real world. So we don't do handstand walks, don't do Olympic lifts, don't do gymnastics, but we do
monkey bars.
Monkey bars. I mean, if you can find yourself having to crawl out of a burnt down city or an earthquake or whatever, it's practical. You're running for long distances potentially. You're running fast. You're lifting shit up, and you're lifting tires. You're flipping up tires to save your buddies. You're climbing on top of stuff. You're climbing up over fences, like climbing, running, climbing, jumping, pulling, pushing, pulling, and endurance. And then some swimming if needed. That's what the HybridCon Games is. And it's a competition. We gamify it, and we get sponsors on board, and we create media around it, and we test hybrid athletes to their full potential. And then we give away $30,000 cash prize. And it's interesting because in the last 5 years, you've seen a huge wave in this hybrid fitness world.
Big time.
I think it is because CrossFit had a higher barrier to entry. I remember my first CrossFit class. They had me doing snatches.
No way.
I'm like, the fuck is a snatch? It was called skill work.
Okay.
You know? And I'm like, I just want to work out. Yeah. I want to do some box jumps and pull-ups, and I want to run, and I want to deadlift heavy. Yep. You know, so it's not that we say, oh, snatches, you shouldn't do snatches. Like, we don't preach against it. We just don't do them. We don't program, because to me, a snatch is not important in the real world. You're not going to snatch a person above your head.
Also, it's very technical.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So less technical things, more just down and dirty grit, strength, speed, capacity, endurance.
Farmer's walk.
Farmer's carry, farmer walks, like everything. Like the first event last year was an 11-mile trail run with a vest on.
That's simple.
It's a simple movement, but in order to do it fast and to be competitive, it takes a lot of guts.
Yeah, it's not easy. It's just a simple movement.
Yeah, very simple. Like
difficult.
Low barrier to entry. Like anybody can train for it.
Yep.
Anybody can go out there and run a mile. Next week, run 3 miles. Next week, run 5 miles.
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
So that's what the HybridCon Games is. It's hybrid conditioning games built into a cool competition.
Why did you decide to switch the name from like the Battle Bunker? Because that was the name. Like, was that just for relatability or just sounding cooler? The HybridCon?
It's branding. Yeah. Like I said, I'm a terrible planner, great executor. I knew I wanted to execute this competition. I didn't have time to brand it and to call it whatever. So I just called it the Battle Bunker Flagship Competition. First of all, it was a mouthful. Second of all, Battle Bunker does multiple things aside from the competitions. We do Battle Bunker Bus, we do the Unbroken series on YouTube, and then we also do the competitions. So I realized by our second year, hey, we need to call this a certain thing so people know what it is, and we need our own word and our own term for it. So that's when we got online, we trademarked HybridCon, hybrid conditioning, and that's where it was kind of born. Now, when people search HybridCon, you know there's one place they can come to, us, because we are HybridCon. And I would love to have HybridCon to have HybridCon as like a programmed system for hybrid.
Okay.
Would love to go, okay, today it's a 2-mile run, and then we're going to do some heavy deadlifts. And then for metabolic conditioning or for some anaerobic work, we're going to do burpees, and we're going to do like box steps. Like CrossFit uses a lot of these things. But in HybridCon, you'll never find technical lifts. You'll never find gymnastics. You'll never find handstand walks.
Yeah. Where do you see HybridCon in the future, though? Because you said like, this thing is taking more and more over. I've seen it, like IG posted on hybrid workouts. I'm not the biggest fan of the term, honestly, but just because I think that people, like, if they label it, it's like, okay, now this is consuming me.
Yeah.
Just like a bit of a digression, but like if you think you're an introvert, now you're starting to get real shy, apparently.
Yeah.
But let's keep that aside. It's a hybrid event. Where do you see it being in the future?
I built the term HybridCon because I see it being a training style, and I see it being a sport. There has to be a clear progression. Like with football, you can play pee-wee, you can play mini-wee, or whatever they call it. You can play B-team,
Is that American
high school.
Football?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, football. They call it soccer in Norway.
Yeah. No, yeah.
Do they have football in Norway?
We call it football.
Football. Yeah, same.
Yeah.
But there's a progression. You can train for it. You have pee-wee, which is like 5 or 6 years old, all the way up to college and pro. There's a huge pipeline that people get involved in, like pretty much at any point.
That's what I love about America, by the way. The sports are just like, hey, you're put into this by the start.
Yep.
Right.
Yep. And I played basketball in high school, but my goal with HybridCon is I want it to be a programmed fitness avenue for people. Like, people look at CrossFit and they say, oh, there's a lot of injury. There's a higher barrier to entry. There's more skill work involved. I just want to do hybrid things. Like, and you said you don't want to, you're not a fan of like categorizing sports and fitness.
No, I'm not a fan of labeling yourself with, hey, I'm a hybrid athlete, so that's all I'm going to do now. Like you're getting consumed with labels.
Yeah.
But I get the idea of the thing.
Okay.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, hybrid includes a lot from the military background too.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, first year we had a 3-mile ruck with 50 pounds. And then, yeah, so my goal with hybrid, next year we're going to start a gym, 2025. We're going to start programming HybridCon classes. We're going to build it up a little bit. We're going to get people's feedback and everything. We're going to form a community. And then we're going to start a second gym. And we're going to start programming HybridCon. And people are going to know when they hear HybridCon, okay, that's hybrid. Mm-hmm. You know, I'm going to walk into a class. I'm going to get sweaty. My heart rate's going to get up, and I'm going to lift some heavy-ass weight. They're going to know that they're not going to have to learn any skill work, maybe, other than like maybe a squat or a deadlift form, basic 3. And I want to program it out. And I want the HybridCon games to be the pinnacle that someone can shoot for if they continue to train in hybrid. Mm-hmm. But at bottom line, the type of training that I love to do after, 15, 16 plus years of doing this, I love to run.
Yeah.
I love to swim.
Yeah.
I love to lift weights. I like to be big, muscular, but I like to be fast too. Mm-hmm. And that's what we're going to program HybridCon to be.
I love that.
Thank you very much.
That's amazing.
Thank you.
I guess that's what I'm doing right now. I don't call myself a hybrid athlete.
Exactly.
I hate calling myself that. I just call myself an athlete. So.
Yeah.
But
if somebody's like, oh, I'm an athlete, their first thing would be like, oh, what sport do you play?
Right.
And you'd be like, well, no, I don't really
do everything.
play sports, but I do everything. I fight. I lift weights. I go for long-ass rucks with my friend Austen, and I just did 100K, Yeah. So.
I guess I am, but I just refuse to these labels.
I would call you a hybrid because you know how to do everything.
Yeah.
Kind of like, me without the fighting. Like last year's games, we had combat sports. We had the pugil sticks, fighting with pugil sticks.
Like the gladiator thing?
Exactly.
Like with Michael Hearn?
Exactly. A little bit less steroids, but
yeah. That's cool though.
Yeah, it's an all-encompassing thing.
I watched that show when I was little on the TV.
American Gladiator?
Yeah, but I never knew when it was on. It was just like you watch on the TV. Oh shit, they're the guys, the gladiator guys with the fucking thing, right?
Yep.
So you did that with the
pugil sticks.
Pugil sticks.
Yep.
All right.
Yeah, we did that. We did 1v1 drag race where opponents were having to drag each other to the side of the circle.
Okay.
We did heavy ass log carries, strongman. We did tire flips, strongman. We did obstacle course racing. I mean, navigating around obstacles. We did an 11-mile run, endurance. Took people like an hour and 40 minutes or something like that. We did 500-meter swim, speed and swimming. We did a calm event, which was a 3-minute bob test with hands and feet tied. And we also did a workout called Wet Willie. It was a sandbag letter. It's 140 pounds for men, 100 pounds for women. They flipped the sandbag over their shoulder 6 times, brute strength, strong man. Then they did a little bit of powerlifting. This sandbag, I guess it's strongman too, but they gripped the sandbag right here. They did bear hug front squats. So they had to squat down, and then they would get in the lap and pull, and then sprint swim.
Nice. If I have a few more questions. If someone they have a good level of muscle, right? Mm-hmm. And maybe they see me because I'm so goddamn good looking, right?
Exactly.
And I'm able to perform these feats of strength and endurance. How do you think the best way to go about trying to transition into something like that? Hey, you have this muscle, or you have a good baseline of fitness. Mm-hmm. How do you think this is the best way to start? Hey, I'm going to start running more. I'm going to start lifting more. I'm going to start doing swims. How would you program that and to the point where it's like manageable? Let's say for daily life, 9 to 5, how would you do that?
I would start slowly, progressively, because you can't load, as a coach, you know this, you can't load someone down with 3 or 4 different tasks automatic, right off the bat, because they're going to lose focus and their attention is going to be divided. So I would say if they're already, let's say they're bodybuilding, that's a decent base. If they're bodybuilding and they want to get into hybrid, I would say cut your bodybuilding workouts to about 30 minutes. And I would say end each workout or 3 workouts a week with a 1 mile run. Don't have to keep pace, just focus on covering a mile distance. That's going to increase your heart rate. I mean, to probably, 150s, 165s, depending on your age. It's going to allow your cardiovascular system to get kind of used to it. You're going to start feeling better. You're going to start breathing better. May lose a little bit of weight, but maybe not, depending on your diet. And then progressively, maybe the next week, you add a 1.5 miles. And then you have a back off week where you just bodybuild. And then, I mean, every person is different, but you just slowly start adding those things in there. And then maybe you could go 4 days out of the week, you do an hour-long bodybuilding workout, but then 3 days out of the week, which means 1 or 2 of those workouts are going to have to end with an endurance run. Then you program a 3 to 5 mile run after the workout and on like a longer distance day, like on a Saturday. Yep. Say go do a 7 miler. And then you slowly program them there. And then once they have a good running base, you could do another back off week of the running. And then you could say, okay, I just want you to go move in the pool for 500 meters. I don't care what stroke you use, just move in the pool. You could just backpedal. It's going to get people used to the water. It's going to get some repetition in there. And then you start slowly adding the strokes. And then a good hybrid program, let's say you have an hour and a half a day. I would say start it out with your weightlifting, because you want to use the majority of your energy to lift heavier and you can get stronger.
Yeah.
I would say lift for around 30 minutes. Get a good, depending on if you're doing upper or lower body or whatever.
Is that included warm-ups, or is that pure work session?
No, that's not including warm-ups.
Okay. 20 minutes, pure work. Yep.
30 minutes, pure work. Get in there, lift some weights, like a lower body day. If you're trying to get stronger, I would say start off with a 3x5 squat or maybe a 5x5 squat. And then let's do some hamstrings, so heavy RDLs. And then let's work your calves a little bit, not to the point where they're cramping, but let's just get some weight on the calves. Do some calf presses and then switch to some accessory work with the quad, accessory work with the hamstrings. Then you're good. Then you'd go for a 3 mile run. Should take, 24 to 30 minutes. And then the other part of that, go change out, get into the pool, and then swim another 15 minutes. That's a good sustainable system for anywhere between 4 to maybe 6 times per week. Now, if you have to add some specialties in there as well. Like if you're training for a long endurance run, I would say focus less on the resistance training, maybe train resistance 3 times a week, but the other 3 times a week should be focused on a short, a medium for aerobic capacity, or maybe a zone 2, and then a good long run. And that long run is going to be a good, it should be the most important workout of the week if you're training for like a marathon or a half marathon.
Yep.
So go do a 10, 12 miler, easy pace, get the cardiovascular going, zone 2 if you need to, and aerobic capacity. You're good.
What about tracking stuff, workouts and everything? What do you think about that in general? Do you think the importance is?
I think if you're really dialed in, first of all, your diet should be dialed in. I don't think tracking a workout is super important unless your diet is dialed in first. But
so if someone eats complete shit and tracks their workout, then it's like
you're not doing yourself any good. Yeah. Like, are you trying to get stronger? Well, you need to be able to have that protein in your system and the carbohydrates for performance. Yep. Same way with a run. If I'm waking up and I'm eating 3 pieces of bacon and a slice of cheese, but I want to go on a 12-mile run, it's not gonna feel good at all. So dial in your nutrition, and then tracking workouts, I think, is important if you're training for a goal. Like now, I'll go do an event where I don't really train for it. I have like one goal with the event is either to finish or finish by like a certain time. Like with the ruck, I knew it was very attainable because that's a 15-minute pace. Mm-hmm. So tracking your workouts is important because if you're like, not only do I want to finish and run a marathon, I want to keep a 7:30 pace. You're going to need to build up to that, and you're going to need to be tracking your paces so you know that you're on point. Mm-hmm. You know how you feel at an 8-minute pace. You know how you feel at a 6-minute pace. So, yeah, I do think tracking your workouts is important.
Yeah, I see. I'm going to round this off. I'm going to ask you, when it comes to giving some advice, if you had to draw from a past mistake, you don't have to explain the mistake. You don't have to explain the scenario. What would be some advice or one type of advice that you would give for anything in life? You know, something that you had to learn the hard way, for example.
I would say this is going to get deep.
Yeah, that's the point of the question.
The most important thing in life is happiness. I don't care what you're doing. If you can sit down at the end of the day and you're happy, then that's the most important. I can have $10 billion and have everything in the world, but if I'm not happy, then life is not worth living. I'm never saying that you should take an alternate route, but I'm just saying work towards being happy. Mm-hmm. So I had 2 friends of mine in the military that killed himself. 2 friends that were really close to me. Mm-hmm. And I saw one of them, specifically, his name was Quinn. Mm-hmm. I saw him going through a tough transition. And still to this day, I wonder, like, if I checked in with Quinn more and talked to Quinn more, would he have opened up to the point where he was saying, hey, I'm struggling? Sometimes I struggle with that because I'm like, maybe if I would have checked in on him more or just knew the right questions to ask, would he still be here today? And, he could be providing for a happy family and happy, kids and making other people happy. Mm-hmm. So, and this all boils down to the life or death situations. Make sure that you're doing everything in your power to have your circle of friends or family, make sure that you are the one in their life that they can talk to. Mm-hmm. So I would say, somebody listen to this, I would say, look at your circle, look at your family, your friends. If you think someone's not okay, if they're going through a tough time, if they're going through something, talk to them and talk to them more. Reach out to them. Mm-hmm. And don't do it inorganically. It can just be a FaceTime. Like I FaceTime 15 of my friends weekly just to chat with them, see what's going on, because I know the pain and the struggle that Quinn was going through now that I could have helped him out on. Mm-hmm. So, yeah, I mean, that's a decision that you kind of, well, that's a thinking that I kind of have to live with now is like, if I could have done more for Quinn and been there for him more, would he still be here to this day? So I know that got deep real fast, but make sure your loved ones and the people in your circle are taken care of. Make sure they're good. Check in on them all the time.
Yep. I'm going to bounce off, if I can, on that. Is that something that fuels you to be better these days?
100%.
Living with...
100%.
Yeah.
I was in an interview with Jocko Willink, and I asked him the same question. I said, Jocko, what fuels you to get up every day? He's like, because I know I live a life now that a lot of my friends can't because they're not alive anymore. He's like, every single day I don't take it for granted because I know that they wish they could be here, and I live life for them. Mm-hmm. So, yeah, it fuels me all the time.
Yeah. Super powerful.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm. We'll round off with that. Thank you so much, man.
Of course. Thanks for coming out.
Thank you.
Of course.